Animals Radio Show, your weekly voyage into Florida fishing. Presented by Hubbard's Marina. Hosted by Captain Mike Anderson and Captain Dylan Hubbard.
Good morning, Tampa Bay. Captain Dylan Hubbard here for the Bartow for Real Animals Fishing Show. Talking fishing this morning. Inshore, nearshore, offshore, weather. What's going on now, what's coming up, and more. Hopefully you're excited for today's show. I've got Captain Steve Papen in studio this morning from Fintastic Fishing Charters, and we are going to be chatting fishing with you guys and hopefully hearing from you as well. You can always give us a shout, 1-800-969-9352 to join the conversation. Tell us a little bit about what you're seeing on the water, if you have a fishing report, or if you just want to say hello, or if you have a question, any reason at all, 1-800-969-9352. And the first voice you'll hear is the illustrious Derek DeBose. He is the man behind the glass this morning, making us sound pretty, and we are very thankful for his help, because we do need a lot of help. We do. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Excited to be back in studio. And excited to have you back in studio.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming.
I'm happy to be here, man. Thanks for inviting me.
Always fun chatting fishing with you, buddy. And we're excited. We're on a full moon. It is nice and bright this morning. That full moon is going to make a lot of water move, a lot of bait flush, and we've got a little bit of a high pressure on us right now. That's going to relent as we move into the work week a little. And we got another cold front there sometime Thursday night. And it looks like we're going to get a little bit of a weather reprieve, and it's seemingly shifted a little bit later in the week as well. So we should have hopefully a little bit bigger of a weather window than anticipated when I was talking fishing with Fox 13 on Friday, doing our weekend fishing reports. It looked like the weather was going to, that front was going to be more like Thursday, maybe even Thursday morning. It seems like it's shifted really late Thursday night now. So long story short, it looks like we should have a really good weather window Tuesday through Thursday. Monday doesn't look terrible either, so I would say fishing's going to be pretty good through this weekend inshore. If you can hide from the wind, find a wind-protected shoreline, maybe some near-shore stuff if you can stay in the lee and stay close and stay out of that east wind and the waves that are going to be driven. But even offshore, it looks like we might get a chance here this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so it's still going to be a little breezy, but it looks like we might have a shot, Steve.
Well, foul weather gear days.
Yeah.
A little cold.
Well, the east wind should help moderate it, too. So that east wind stops the colder air influx and brings all that moderate stuff over from the Atlantic. So should get into the 80s.
Ooh.
Or low 80s. Yeah, I'm excited.
So those are the days that you start off with tons of clothing on.
Yeah.
Sweaters and hoodies and foul weather gear, and then by noon you peel everything off.
Yeah, it's winter for the first 4 hours, then it's fall for a couple hours, and then it's right back to summer. Yeah, Sunday's a high of 80, Monday's 81, Tuesday's 82, Wednesday's in the 80s, so I'm pretty excited. Not only do we have a little bit of a weather window, but we also have some warming temperatures, and that should also get the fish excited. You have these warm-ups, these nice periods between these fronts. Fish come alive. And seemingly right now, whether it's the lack of pressure, just the time of year.
Everybody's chewing.
It seems like, man, the fishing is just incredible. Inshore, nearshore, offshore. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, the half-day trips are not some illustrious, whoa, I caught this fish. The half-day trips is fun for the whole family.
Rod bending.
Yeah, it's rod bending, and you got little kids out there. So we're catching the gray snapper or white grunts. They're a smaller fish. They're good eating.
Royal Majestic Snapper.
Yeah, whatever you want to call them. Whatever you want to call them, just don't call them bad to eat, right? I will always call them gray snapper because that's the way I was raised. I was raised right. But long story short, what I'm getting at is, it's not some illustrious, glorious trip that you're bringing home a huge fish to take a picture of. But right now, man, you're catching big stringers. Yeah. I mean, you're not striking out. And the same thing inshore. I mean, I was down on the Johns Pass jetty. We have some good news on the jetty situation, which we'll talk about during the show. But I was down on the Johns Pass jetty talking with the city of Madeira Beach's mayor, Anne Marie Brooks. Great lady, super passionate, and cares about our fishermen and our fisherwomen in Madeira Beach. And we were talking about the jetty and the problem and the access. And, dude, it was hard to have a conversation. It was hard to talk. You know why?
No.
Drag screaming.
Really?
Yeah. There was like 6-8 people out there on the jetty, and literally every cast they're catching redfish after redfish after redfish. It was nuts.
That's killer.
Like I started to shake a little bit. I was like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how it is when you're in a hot bite and everybody's drag screaming. You just start to get the shakes and you're trying to bait a hook and your hands are trembling because you're just trying to get back down there. Yeah. I started to get that feeling, and I wasn't even fishing myself. It was amazing.
You should have done the interview with a rod in your hand.
Well, we were just talking, her and I, but it was pretty impressive. And then that same day, I walked down to Don's dock because we were having some problems down there with the fuel tanks. We're still trying to work out. That's a whole different show. But, dude, down at Don's, it was the same thing. Yeah. There's 3 or 4 people fishing just left and right, redfish.
That's good news, man.
And sheep's head are picking up, flounder. Like, I was talking to Emily Muhlstein, and she from the Gulf Council, and she and her husband, they fish all the time inshore. And she mentioned, like, hey, we don't catch a lot of flounder. Like, that hasn't really been a thing. But now it's like they're catching 10, 15, 20 flounder every time they go out.
I remember back in the day, right there in the pass, you know, when I was a kid, I would fish out of the jetty all the time, and we would. Seemed like October, November, it was like flounder time.
Yeah.
And you just catch them nonstop out there, and big ones too.
Yeah, when I was real young, 6, 8, 10, 12 years old, and that sand wasn't as big of a problem as it is today. Yeah. It was deeper on that west side of our main dock. If you floated a shrimp out there towards the end in that slip, and it kind of came up on the beach, it was like a 2 to 3 foot flounder, like doormat, almost guaranteed. If you got a jumbo shrimp and you were patient enough to let it fall back in the tide along the bottom, it was like you could set your watch by it. Yeah. It was nuts.
Seems like every time we have like a big storm, you know, like a hurricane or something like that in the area, it seems like the fishing always gets exceptional right afterwards.
Yeah.
And I mean, we had our share this year, so
yes.
I hopefully that's something to keep looking forward to. I mean, spring. I mean, I'm very hopeful.
Yeah,
as far
and
as spring's concerned.
Mike brings that up a lot. He always says, and he thoroughly believes that when we have a winter, a decent winter where water temperatures get low, where we have these hardened down fronts, it's brutal during the winter to get through that weather period. But then come spring, there's a chance for a warm up. And the weather actually shifts. When you get these really moderate winters and it doesn't really ever get super cold, then in the spring it doesn't really warm up because the weather never really changes. Whereas in this case, when we have these hardened down winters with these hardened fronts and a lot of shifting and a lot of water temperature dropping, then all of a sudden in spring those fish come back out and they're hungry. So it's an interesting idea.
That water temp drop, like our first major drop this season wasn't from a cold front. Our first major drop this season was from Helene.
Yeah.
When that thing came through, our water temp was like 90, 91 before the storm. And then after the storm, it dropped like 10 degrees just by flipping the water over out there. And brought the thermocline up to the surface and brought the offshore, inshore, and the inshore, offshore, and just kind of turned it all up.
And also, it just brought so much fresh water from not only Helene, but also Milton. So much fresh water. And then for weeks after Milton, all those inland rivers and lakes were flooding and bleeding out into the coast.
That water was brown.
It was nuts. Yeah. It took a month to start to look right again. So I think there's a lot of different factors that are playing into this, plus the reduction in effort. You just don't see as many boats around, not as many people out there fishing. So whatever it is, fishing is going really well right now.
Well, Mother Nature always finds a way to heal it, doesn't she?
Yes, she does. And we got a great little weather window, as I was mentioning. We're on the back side of that full moon. We're coming up on the front side of the front. If I was a betting man, I would say Wednesday, Thursday, probably your best fishing days because you're going to be fishing right ahead of that next front on the back side of this front, back side of this high pressure, back side of this full moon. So that's my bet as far as the best fishing days, but Monday, Tuesday look pretty good too. So take advantage of that weather window. And remember, this weather update was brought to you by our friends over there at Reese Windows and Doors. They are Florida's leading window and door company with over 50 years in the business. They offer free installation on most windows and doors, and they install in just 6 weeks. Plus, they only use in-house installers, no freelance contractors, and their work comes with a double lifetime warranty, which means you never pay for a warranty when you sell your home, and that warranty transfers to the new owners, adding value to your home. Visit reesewindows.com for more information. So, good weather, great fishing. Have you been out there this past week, with the way the weather is and the slower time of year?
Well, we've been doing a handful of trips. I mean, when the weather's gets right enough for us to go, we got trips. We had to pile everything into like a couple of days last week. So we had a couple real long days.
I know. I talked to you one day. You had 2 trips.
3.
Wow.
Well, we did a research trip. So we took the FWRI group out, biologists out to offshore, and they were doing work with the acoustic receivers and things like that they have offshore. So Mike ran that one, and then John and I ran a couple trips on the CV, a couple different. So we did a 6-hour in the morning, a 4-hour in the afternoon. So
did you find any kingfish?
So we weren't kingfishing. The groups that we had, they really wanted to do some bottom fishing. They both really wanted hogfish and mangoes and stuff like that. So they were just both pretty short trips.
How was your hogfish bite?
So the morning trip was pretty decent. It was okay. Yeah. Those guys wanted snappers more than hogs. And then the afternoon trip, they didn't really care what they got.
Yeah.
But I did test a little theory.
What theory is that?
It's pretty cool, and I don't know if this was. I'm probably silly to say this on the show here, but a while ago, when I was starting to learn about hogfish, so the males during the day, they're off in the sand.
Yeah,
they're foraging off in the sand, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as the sun goes down, those fish will come back to the ledge, right? So that's where they're going to hang for the night. They're going to be in there. They're going to put their head in the rocks. That's where they're going to stay. They feel comfortable. They can kind of wedge in there and go to sleep, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I kind of tested a theory a while back. So I hit a spot first thing in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Tried for some hogfish, and we didn't catch any. So we fished the rest of the day. Came back out on the second trip. Kind of in the same area.
Mm-hmm.
I hit that spot at sundown. 14.
Wow. Same spot.
Same spot.
Was it tied? Was it time? More on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Real Animals Radio will be right back.
Every time I ever talk to the divers, like when we were first learning hogfish back in the day, they'd always say, you get a spot, and they're all out in the sand, and they would tell you, those fish, they got to go somewhere at night, right? They're not going to be off in the sand. Yeah. Why would they be out there? They got to be somewhere. Yeah. So that's when they come back to the rocks. So this is the third one I did. And honestly, until right now, I haven't even said anything to anybody about it. But I've done it 3 times where I went out and sundown fished for hogfish. And all 3 times we freaking smoked them. Like, it was epic. Really good. But you gotta condition yourself. It's during the winter pretty much only.
Yeah.
But you gotta condition yourself. Like, you're gonna go out there and fish until the sun goes down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of people don't want to do that.
Especially in the winter.
Right. Yeah, because the temperature just drops like a rock. But like the first time I did it, I had like a 30 head stop.
Holy moly.
And almost every fish was a male.
That's interesting.
I don't mind giving away hogfish data because I'm not a big fan. It's so boring. It's not my favorite thing in the world to do, that's for sure.
Tim McCardle, you asked about the 44-hour and how they're doing. I've texted Will. He hasn't texted me back yet.
If you had Starlink,
we have Garmin InReach.
If you had Starlink.
I told you what happened with the sat phone, right? So we have a sat phone on the boat, and the reason I'm scared to get a Starlink is it's much like the old cell phone plans. If you use all the data, you start to get overages for every gigabyte. Well, we have a sat phone on the boat. I think we have like 1,000 minutes or something like that on our plan. And we had a second captain who sat on the phone for 9 hours with his girlfriend on the ride in. You know how much that cell phone bill was? That sat phone bill was for the overage?
Well, I mean, those guys got to know that. I mean, that's...
You would think so.
What happened to him?
Yeah.
Okay, you're paying this bill. Like, I feel like if you lay down parameters for those guys, but I mean, there's a lot of guys.
There was parameters laid down, and everybody knew it, and everybody let that guy sit on the phone. So it's like, that's my concern is.
It's coming out of your check if you're overdoing it.
So frustrating.
I know you want to be the nice guy all the time, D, but sometimes you got to put your foot down, buddy.
Yeah. But if you limit those opportunities.
You don't have to cut their throat on it. You know, let them call their girlfriend or whatever, but don't sit on the phone for 9 hours. Like, don't sit on the phone for. I mean, what do you have to talk about for that long?
Right.
No, this is not you paying. You want to pay for it? That's fine. You can go ahead and do whatever you want, but you're paying the bill. Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
I just thought maybe in your guys' sitch, it might be kind of cool to have that, but some guys watch it. There's a guy on TikTok.
Yeah.
Advanced seafood something or other. Guy's kind of crazy. We met him. He was at that meeting. He was at that last, not the last one, the one before the fisheries meeting that we were at, where they were talking about IFQs and stuff. And he went up and did public comment and all that stuff. Seemed like a nice guy, but he's got like a huge following on TikTok, and he's got Starlink, and he's just got like a little 25 Parker. And he runs out there like 50, 60 miles, 70 miles, and he's got a pretty unorthodox way of fishing. But, I mean, commercial fishing.
Yeah.
People are watching it.
If it works, it works.
Captains Mike Anderson and Dylan Hubbard.
We are back. Bartow for Real Animals Radio, talking fishing this morning. You got Captain Dylan Hubbard from Hubbard's Marina and Captain Steve Papen from Fintastic Fishing Charters in studio this morning. We are chatting fishing, and we'd love to hear from you as well. Give us a shout, 1-800-969-9352 if you want to join the conversation. Want to give a shout out to our friends at Affordable Roofing Systems. Whether you need a shingle, metal, tile, or flat roof, our friends at Affordable Roofing Systems are your safest choice for repairs or replacements. With over 3 decades of roofing experience, let Affordable Roofing Systems guide you through this important process. They are defined by integrity, respect, and honesty, and they have a professional approach to doing business. Call 888-397-ROOF for your free estimate today, or visit them online at affordableroofingflorida.com. Good people over there for sure. They did a great job with my roof, with Big Ben Marshall's roof. Definitely a proven track record over there at Affordable Roofing Systems. Highly recommend. So before the break, we were talking about hogfish and your theory on the sundown bite as those fish return to the ledge. We've noticed on the 39-hour trips the same thing, but we also see it in the sunrise too. That first hour leading up to and through sunrise, a lot of times a big live shrimp on the bottom or a small pinfish will net one of those 12 to 18-pound hogfish out there in the middle ground. It's pretty crazy. You got to turn your mic on.
Yeah, that's pretty cool stuff. I've never seen those offshore ones.
Yeah, they're big.
Yeah, St. Pete Open has some huge ones every year.
Yeah.
Rod and reel, I couldn't imagine how one of those things fights.
Yeah.
That thing's got to rip. Right?
Yeah.
You figure the small ones, they're pulling drag on, 6,000, and you're out there grouper fishing.
I saw a 19-pounder come up when I was working the deck, and he caught it on a small pinfish, wasn't expecting it, and it was dogging him.
Wow.
Fought like a red snapper,
Oh, I bet.
Just freight training.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
There's a prehistoric-looking creature
in
the deep water.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you see them in the St. Pete Open, they're huge. You can take a 15-pounder and put your whole head in that thing's mouth, It's a pretty neat.
Imagine
pretty
the
neat
crustaceans they're eating.
Oh gosh, I couldn't imagine. I would not want to be a crab sitting in front of one of those things.
Yeah, they're probably
even a
sucking
stone
down
crab,
lobster. Even there's some wild looking fish. Hogfish are in the wrasse family. A lot of people think they're snapper, and I think one of the biggest approaches that kind of clicked with me is the fact that they're cruising above the bottom. Right, they're not on the bottom like a grouper or a snapper. They're cruising above the bottom, scouting for those little puffs of sand, looking for those crustaceans, digging in the sand. So that's almost the opposite train of thought. With grouper and snapper, you're trying to keep that bait still, a really natural presentation. For hogfish, it's almost like the extreme opposite. Like the funkier looking bait that kind of bounces on the bottom is almost a better option.
or a GoPro. You drop a GoPro down there and
Yeah.
just let it sit there, and they come right up to it. They look at the little red light. And,
They're curious fish. Man.
oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Yeah. So the weirder things. I've even heard one guy was telling me that they chum them by dropping like a piece of grate, like metal grate, and drag it along the bottom, and stirs up all the sand. And I was thought to myself, I'm like, you're probably destroying a lot of sea fans and live rock.
Yeah.
But interesting idea. So you stir up the bottom really heavily, and that brings in the hogfish from all the different area.
Well, the neat thing about that fishery is it's still fairly new. I mean,
Yeah.
even though it's been around for like 10, 12 years or whatever, it's a new fishery.
Yeah.
People have been grouper fishing here since the 40s, 30s,
Yeah.
long time, but it's a new fishery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've done a lot of weird stuff trying to get them
We're
going.
still exploring more too, and the mortality rate is something they're exploring too. There's a hogfish assessment coming up, which is always a little scary, as we've seen with assessment.
Hey,
More on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Remember, if you have questions, fishing reports, you want to join the conversation, give us a call, 1-800-969-9352. Real Animals Radio. We'll be right back.
Quick one.
Yeah, that last one is short.
Yeah, I was talking with I texted Rendon the other day, and I was like, "What do you think the odds are that we're gonna have red grouper for June?" And he's like, "Slim."
I don't.
Like, "Are you kidding?" So here's the way I look at it, and I asked him this. If you think about it, and you go back and you look at, I can only look at my own calendar, right, to kind of assess effort, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's probably a good thermometer.
Where's your little square thing?
Right here.
Can you move your headphones from it? Yeah. Or just, yeah, that's perfect. That way people can hear.
So, January, February, right? The weather's junk, whatever. Not a lot of people down, stuff like that. So we average, over the last 8 years I went back, might average 7 or 8 trips for the month, for each month. So that's January and February. A lot of those trips, there's a lot of 4 and 6 hour deals there. Then you go into March and April, right? Those
Windy.
2 months. It's windy, then most of the trips you're taking are spring break trips, right? They're not going red grouper fishing. So you have 4 months that you're not really red grouper fishing, right? Now you have the month of May where we're going to go offshore, and then you have June when it closes. So you're telling me we're catching 1 million pounds in a month? I mean, come on. Give me a break.
It all goes back to the fact that MRIP does a bad job with recreational data, and
the data, they're assessing effort.
Yeah.
And there's no effort to assess. So
Well,
how are you telling me there's all this effort when there isn't?
Like, you have fisheries independent and fisheries dependent
Yes.
science. Fisheries dependent science, you have to know how many people are fishing, how many trips they're taking, what they're catching and keeping, what they're discarding, and what their catch per unit of effort is. And they don't know any of that for the private recreational sector. They don't know how many people are fishing. They don't know how many trips they take. They don't know what they're catching and keeping, or what they're catching and discarding, or what their catch per unit of effort is.
So it's garbage.
All of that is surveyed and estimated through FES, that fishing effort survey, and APIS, that angler point intercept service.
So those two things are telling them that there's tons of effort in
And
January,
it
February,
doesn't do
March,
a good
and
job.
April.
APIS is what tries to assess what they're catching and keeping. It's only at public ramps. So any of your private guys out there in those Nortex aren't being captured. So, like, because you're going back to a private landing location, there's no state employee that's going to show up with a clipboard.
That, but still, I mean,
so they're only getting the landings from those public boat ramp accesses, which, I mean, they treat all boats the same too, which is another problem. So if a 25-foot bay boat comes in, it's weighted the same as that 44-foot Freeman that comes in next. Those boats shouldn't be weighted the same. There's a lot of problems with it.
That's a huge problem.
They're doing,
but it's killing us.
Yeah, they're doing a pilot project
you
right
can't
now.
tell me you're catching 1 million pounds of fish in a month.
Yeah.
And that month is the month of May when it is still windy as hell.
That's why things like Seafire would help, because even the private wreck guy, Seafire would help him, because Seafire is going to take a small subset of the recreational fishery and bring really hard and fast, accountable, verified, validated data. And all of a sudden, we saw that with the commercial
Well, it is
fleet.
going to be a little skewed on the data.
No matter what you think of the IFQ system, love it, hate it, want to burn it down, what the IFQ system did is it helped the entire fishery, because all of a sudden you have a system in which every fish is weighed, measured, accounted for. You have the trip ticket on the boat side, you have a trip ticket on the dealer side, you have FWC at the dock doing age and growth composition tables. So it was a huge influx of fisheries dependent science.
There's no doubt the IFQ was great for the fishery.
For the science, yeah.
For the fishery,
yeah.
But it's not great for the fishermen.
I agree. Love it, hate it. But we saw that, and I think the same thing would happen when you roll out something like Seafire, a mandatory reporting system for federal for-hire fleet.
Yeah, everybody's on board with the reporting side. Everybody, I don't think you're going to find any charter guy that's not. Nobody, we didn't really get any.
Because that would answer the question about where these red group are coming from.
Yeah, the only bad juju anybody got from that whole program when we were doing it before was, the economic side and this, that, and the other, and the tracking and stuff like that. But as far as reporting fish, nobody had an issue with. Nobody did. Not that I talked to.
Yeah.
I sure didn't. I like giving real numbers as opposed to, just pulling them on a thin air.
When a fishery closes, I would feel better about a fishery closing knowing that they're using more quality data.
Absolutely. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
It's just hard not to question things like this where, it looks like we're going to catch 1 million pounds in a month. Like, that's
Doesn't make any sense.
impossible.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Captains Mike Anderson and Dylan Hubbard.
Sorry to disappoint you again this week. No Cap Mike Anderson.
Who is Mike Anderson?
Mike Anderson, he's this really tall guy.
I think I met him.
Yeah, he's nice.
I haven't seen
He's
him
a nice
here.
guy.
I've been here a handful of times now. I don't remember seeing Cap much everywhere. Don't worry yet. Miss the guy.
He's out there crushing softballs today, probably hitting grand slams and stuff. That's how he rolls. But we've got Captain Steve Papen from Fintastic Fishing Charters in studio this morning and having a good time. And hopefully we'll hear from you as well. 1-800-969-9352 if you want to join the conversation. Bring us a fishing question, fishing report, whatever it is. Give us a call at 969-9352. 1-800-969-9352. Also want to give a shout out to our friends at Relentless Perpetual Edge Knives. If you're looking for a great Christmas gift idea, Relentless Perpetual Edge Knives is a great one for the fisherman in your life. It's the world's first self-sharpening knife that sharpens as it cuts. Ultra hard carbide, never rust titanium blade with true grit glass reinforced ABS handle on a knife that is perfectly balanced. And it comes in 5 great models and many more to come. Take the work out of filleting a pile of fish and get a Relentless knife today. Go to relentlessknivesusa.com to find out for yourself why this is a knife all the pros are talking about. Never rust.
I used it.
It's a big claim, isn't it?
You gave me one last time we were on the show. I used it. I like it. It's a good knife. It's great.
And never rust is like one of those things you see on a commercial. You're like, yeah, that's not true. It's true.
Yeah.
Dude, one of those knives has been sitting on the bait station since they came on the show as a partner. It's been over a year. There is
awesome.
No rust on it.
Nothing lasts a year with no rust.
On a bait station on the back deck of a fishing boat that gets fished 1,500 times in a year.
Yeah, that's great.
Nuts.
That's killer.
Yeah, it's really, really crazy.
It's nice when people come out with,
good quality
something
stuff.
like that. Yeah, it's just like something that lasts. I mean,
yeah, they are an expensive knife, but as my good friend says, good whiskey costs money. And,
absolutely.
And this is something that'll last you a really long time. So it's worth it. It's worth it. We've got Captain Charlie from St. Pete on the line. And again, hopefully we'll hear from you as well. Captain Charlie from St. Pete. What's going on, buddy?
What's going on, Captain? Good morning.
Good morning to you, my friend. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I tell you, I mean, fishing's been good. I mean, for us nearshore captains, we finally get to see some offshore fish. It's been a good time this year. Not as many charters for obvious reasons, but it's kind of fun to go out there and kind of finally see those nearshore fish or those offshore fish come inside the fence we can play with. Big mangs. Obviously, still a huge shortage of grouper.
Yeah, huge shortage.
Huge shortage. Probably can give one to everybody for Christmas this year if you wanted to.
Yeah, right.
Flounder. I mean, flounder's been awesome or whatever. But, I think the good part for me this year has been fun kind of just being able to go out there and fish with friends and scout out new spots with the lack of clients this year. I mean, it's not been horrible, but not as good as last year. But,
Amen.
Yeah, fishing's been fun, and fishing's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome, buddy. So what do you see in inshore side of things?
I've not even touched inshore in probably the last 2 months, 3 months, or whatever. Everything's been off the beach.
Nice. So focused. Are you seeing any kingfish in that 9 miles?
Not a one. A lot of max. We didn't. I don't think we really. I didn't see one kingfish this year. I didn't really focus hard on it, but I didn't really hear any reports, or I certainly didn't put any in the boat. But a lot of mackerel for sure.
Yeah.
It's because you never called me. I would have told you where they were, buddy.
Yeah, well, I know you're busy, so.
Yeah, we had a pretty good bite. It was like really, really good for like a week or week and a half, like right after King of the Beach went off.
Right.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
Yeah,
I was having a ball. I was out there by myself one day. I just woke up one morning. I'm like, I got to go. Like, I can't do this anymore. So I literally woke up at like 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I'm going fishing right now. I didn't have a trip that day. It was blowing its ears off. I'm like, I'm going. So I dumped the boat in the water and ran out there by myself. That's
cool.
It was pretty fun. I probably had like.
So when Steve Papen goes fishing by himself for fun, you're going king fishing?
Dude,
I've never seen that.
It was blowing so hard. I didn't know it was out of the east. I had nothing else to do. I was like, man, I'm going to go.
So where were you?
I was up off of Clearwater.
Oh, the hard bottom.
It was just a little bit offshore of that. But the mackerel were there real thick, and it's like you pull.
That's always a hot spot in the fall.
You roll a mackerel in, and you just slid that thing out. I couldn't put 2 rods out. I was out there by myself, and I had a fish on that was like boiling. It's blowing. The boat's going sideways. I've got motoring gear. I got 2 baits out. One gets eaten. I'm sitting there, and it's dumping, and then right as the line's another fish comes, airs out on the other one, and the other rod's going the other direction.
Nice.
And they're crossed, and the motor's still in gear. It was a disaster, but I had so much fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I literally stayed out there from pretty much sun up to sundown by myself.
Do you feel like it was a small window this year? Because I feel like it was way better than last year for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely a small window, but I think it was more because the water dropped fast. The temperature went dropped like a stone. And, then we had the storms, which dirtied everything up and brought in all that fresh water. And those kingfish are amazing. Like, they will relocate
in a second.
In, like, no time flat.
Mm-hmm.
A quick story, when we fished up in Louisiana one year.
Mm-hmm.
And the first year we went out to the West Delta, which is, it's on the west side of Louisiana. So we fished out of Biloxi. So it was a long run. We went out there. There was probably maybe 50, 60 boats there when we pulled up, and every single boat had 2 or 3 people on when we pulled up, right? It's one rig. Whoa. So we start fishing, and it was the most epic bite I've ever seen in my life. It was, you put a bait in the water, the second it touched the water, 3 fish were coming out of the water at the same time trying to eat it. And none of them were under like 35 pounds.
Whoa.
We weighed a 47, and we were in like 40th place that day. So it was like that all day.
Wait, you had a 47-pound kingfish?
Yeah, we were in 40th place that
Oh
day.
my God.
It was insane.
That's crazy.
So everybody we went back in. The next day, the entire field of like 480 boats heard about it, and they all go to the same rig in the Delta.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody got a bite. Not a single kingfish. We had one rod go off for the day, and it was 2 catfish on the downrigger that ate a ribbonfish.
Wow.
Same spot, like 8 hours later, and there wasn't a fish in sight. The day before, we went through 150 runners and 3 dozen ribbonfish and ran out of bait.
Wow.
We had to go try before we went in.
Great example of how quick they move.
The water turned a little brown.
Mm-hmm.
The water was dumping out of the Mississippi. And, I mean, there had to be millions of pounds of fish there. And overnight, they all left. And nobody found them again.
That's amazing.
So those fish know when that water when it's not what they like, they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
They just disappear. They hit the jets.
Here, that's for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree. Well, Captain Charlie, how would someone get a hold of you if they wanted to book one of those near-shore adventures?
Yeah, it'd be Nautical Native Fishing Adventures, number 727-331-1532.
Awesome, man. Well, we appreciate the phone call, my friend, and thanks for the updates and the fishing report.
Thanks, Charlie. We'll see you.
Good to talk to you. You bet, brother.
See you, buddy.
You know, he used to be a Marine sheriff.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's a great guy, man. That's how I met him.
That's how you know you're going to be on a safe charter.
He
knows a little bit about boat safety.
He's good stuff, too.
Yeah.
He's like you, too, when he's tall. Big, tall birch of a man.
I was wondering where you're going with that, bud.
He's a big dude. But, yeah, he was a sheriff. He was a Marine unit guy with Dwayne Summers and all those guys for a long time. Kevin Grissinger and all those.
That's cool.
And, super cool guy, man.
Nice. Salt of the earth. Fishy cat, as Capt would say.
He's on the water. He was on the water then. He's on the water now.
Awesome to hear. And catching fish, too. We got Donald from Lutz on the line as well, speaking of fishy cats. What's going on, Donald? How are you, buddy?
Excellent. Good morning. When I had my boat, I used to go out there by myself, king fishing, but I would never do 2 rods. That's you can't do that. But I would do the one. Yeah.
I'm always looking for chaos. Chaos is like my MO.
Yeah, chaos is always fun. So I would show, catch, the kingfish, and I'd show my friends, like, yeah, these are cool, having fun out there. They're good eating. I cut them up into steaks and, rub a little olive oil and allspice and throw them on a charcoal grill. That is delicious. So
awesome.
He asked me, he goes, I'd love to go out there with you one time. He goes, okay, let's go next week. So I took him out there, and we wound up with 3 kingfish. So that was cool. I was
awesome.
excited. Yeah.
Always good when a plan comes together. Donald, it's real loud with the wind. You got your windows rolled down or something?
All right, let me... Okay, I took you off.
There you go. That's a lot better, my friend.
I'm driving. Okay, so today I'm doing a memorial outing with my Dawson Club for Neil Taylor. He had passed away, so in honor of him today, I'm going to light up a cigar. We're going to have a little memorial at the Fort DeSoto Beach Launch just after Tampa Bay Wash, but before the bridge.
Nice.
Just right after the toll on the right side. Be, grilling up my usual fare and just have a little memorial. Plus, I've got a ton of giveaways. I mean, literally, I have so many mirror lures, so many soft plastics
That's awesome, man.
that Neil had given me because he wanted me to take over the Captain Mel Memorial Classic. And I was going to do that, but then COVID hit. And, of course, Neil had moved away to Arizona. Then he moved to Texas, and he passed away October 28th. But he was such a huge influence, on the fisheries.
Yes, sir.
He was good friends with Captain Scott Moore. He wrote 4 books. I've got a bunch of his books that he had autographed. I'll be giving those away. So it'll be a... it'll be a somber outing. It'll be a fun outing, and do a toast for him and light up a cigar because I used to go to his house a lot. and we'd hang out. I'd grill for him because he had the ALS, and he really couldn't do too much. So, helping him out. And but we had so many outings together. In 2014, I got my first slam, and I was with him. I got my biggest snook on the kayak, a 39-inch snook.
Wow. That's
on
awesome.
That outing. Yeah, I got
Awesome
also got a
playing.
25-inch trout.
Wow. Paying respect is always good, man. That sounds like a great day today, great memorial trip, and I'm sure he's looking down, very honored. What time would people meet you for that get-together today, Donald?
8 o'clock this morning, and just going to have a little prayer and stuff, and then we're going to head on out. We're going to come back about 12:45, 12:30.
Awesome.
I'm going to set up the grill and everything, and we're just going to hang out.
Very cool, Donald. Well, good luck out there today. I hope you guys catch them up, brother.
Yeah, it should be a decent day. Depends upon the wind. It's going to be a little windy, but there's a lot of islands around there that you could tuck in, and a lot of fish to be caught. It'll be a fun tide. Got an incoming tide all day. I think it's only a 2-tide day, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
Yeah, but it's going to be incoming the entire day, so it'll be interesting.
Well, good luck, my friend. Thanks for calling, Donald.
I appreciate it. Hey, you guys take care, stay safe, and tight lines as always.
See you, brother. We appreciate it. Always good to hear from Donald. Hopefully we'll hear from you on the other side as well. Remember, 1-800-969-9352 to join the conversation. Real Animals Radio will be right back.
Looks like the boys are out crabbing.
Yeah.
I thought they were duck hunting. They're all camoed up and got all their.
Who's the boys, John and Mikey?
Yeah, John and Mikey. Mike bought. He started his crabbing business this year.
Yeah. How many traps is he running?
Not a lot. He's got just shy of 200, I think.
It's a decent number.
Yeah, 180. But he went and bought a little skiff, and he bought 24 Carolina, and then.
That's not a little skiff. That's the biggest they make.
I mean, no, they make a 27, I think.
Oh, you're right.
But even that, though, or maybe it's not a 24. Maybe it's a 21. I don't know. It's not that big. But he went and bought all the tags, and he went and bought all the traps, and he went.
Fully vested.
Yeah, like he went. He went deep in.
He didn't dip his toe in. He went all the way.
Well, I think that's kind of the way you got to do it. What are you going to do with 50 traps? So, like Simmons and those guys, they kind of did the same. Him and Krabby, they started their deal together. They went and bought a little boat, and they got 150 or 180 traps or something, and they're doing their thing just to supplement some income. I think a lot of the charter guys have done it, right? Mistrada's done it. T-Cat, Tommy Markham, like all those guys, they've all done it. Well, a lot of people have asked me. I'm like, dude, I don't want anything to do with that stuff. I'm scared of a stone crab. Yeah. I ain't picking one of those things up. The big ones will break your hand. I'm not touching it. Yeah. I'll grab a shark by the face before I grab a stone crab. I'm terrified of stone crabs. It's like a spider.
Like a spider.
I don't want nothing to do with them. I feel like those. Yeah, they just look mean.
They are mean.
And I know they're not fast, but man, if they get a hold of you.
One of my favorite things growing up was swimming for them in Blinds Pass.
Yeah.
Crawl on the seawalls.
Yeah.
So much fun.
Oh man.
Yeah. A little tickle stick, so they grab onto that, and you get their attention with that, and you can grab them by the back. They're a lot of fun.
No, not for me.
Yeah.
You can keep your stone crabs.
They're so good.
You know what? Honestly, every year I can't wait for stone crabs to come in, and then I eat them. And I just garbage can like 8 or 10 claws, and I'm like, all right, I'm done for the. Yeah. I don't want any more.
Get your fill.
Dude, I don't know. They're so expensive.
They are.
Insane.
Well, the price is coming down a little bit. It definitely came down this year a little bit.
That's because everybody's catching them so well.
The supply is there.
Yeah, they're crushing them. If these guys are catching, I know a couple guys with like 600-700 traps, and they're catching, some
1,500 pounds.
800,000-pound days and stuff like that. So, like, if they're doing that, can you imagine what those big guys up north are doing with 10, 12,000 traps in the water?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they got to be crushing it, you
Yeah.
know? So that's, you know. But I remember, like, when Buddy Beggs and stuff like that was selling them, and they would come and drop their claws off at Don's.
Mm-hmm.
We'd sell them to people, you know, and it was like a nonstop phone calls. You guys got claws?
That's how it is now.
And it was nonstop, and we would sell 5-pound bags, and it was just Buddy, you know. So it was Buddy, and you know, whatever he caught, he just sold out of the dock. But it was like $10 a pound, and it didn't matter what it was.
Yeah.
And now it's like people are like, "Yeah, man, they're $35 a pound." I'm like, "What?"
They're $35 a pound for like the big boys.
For the colossals,
yeah.
Which is crazy. I mean,
Yeah,
because
like
one
floaters.
claw is like a pound.
Floaters are 14 a pound. The small ones are not bad. I want to say like 20, 24, 25, something like that. Mediums like 28.
My Indiana guy, we went to Middle Grounds. And
Yeah,
he ordered.
they're expensive.
He ordered some for an appetizer.
Yeah.
And it was like there was like 3 claws on a plate
$54.
with a thing of it was like $55-$60 for like one. There was 3 claws and like a thing of mustard sauce in the middle.
Yeah.
I was like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
that's like $12 a bite. You better enjoy it.
Yeah,
I do love me some claws.
they are good.
Not bad. I think I like snow crab a little better though.
Really?
I do. I like snow crab.
I think stone crab is the best.
Yeah.
But snow crab is good. King crab, blue crab.
Oh,
But
no,
I think
blue crab. Come on.
I like blue crab. A good old crab pick. That's good.
Yeah, we did that. We did that this year.
We're back. Bartow for Real Animals Radio, talking fishing this morning. Want to give a shout out to our friends over at Innovative Pools and Spa. Innovative Pools and Spa brings 35 years of experience to the building pools in the Tampa Bay area, and they're continuing the legacy of their father's company, which was recognized as a top pool builder in the Tampa Bay area for 35 years. Plus, they continue to raise the bar in pool construction, design, and features, and they have an unparalleled passion for the industry. Call them today at 727-788-1650 or visit them online at innovativepoolsandspa.net for an estimate. See why Innovative Pools and Spa is a top choice for families in our community. Good people, Fishy Cat as well over there too, Fishy family. So exciting stuff right now with great fishing. And we're excited about the hogfish. I'm excited about the hogfish. Steve apparently could care less. But you got a little bit of kingfish and excitement. So now those kingfish have moved on. So I would say right now the big focus offshore at least is the red snapper. Why we got them, right?
Yeah.
And then come January 1st, man, like a light switch, we get away from the red snapper. We're back to our red grouper and lane snapper. And exciting days ahead, I would say.
I cannot wait to start catching my groupers again.
Yeah, man. It'll be nice to have the red grouper back.
Yeah, my whole life I don't know.
You're on the red grouper data workshop, right? The
yes,
CDAR?
the red tide one.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the red tide thing.
I got you.
That and yellowtail and there's
What's really interesting about red grouper, obviously we all know the situation with red grouper. On the water, we're seeing more red grouper, and I think the sentiment overwhelmingly with red grouper and gag groupers, there's more out there. They're doing well. We need more quota. We need to open these fish back up. And with red grouper, the good news is the stock assessment is happening now. And the stock assessment early stages, one of the things that's coming out of this is they are finally seeing hard data, and there is a overwhelming agreement finally that red grouper is one of those species that you can hit over the head with a red tide event, and they will actually respond with a big recruitment spike. So now they're seeing this thing that we've all been saying, and they're proving it in the scientific data that you have a huge red tide event that will kill off a bunch of red grouper. And when that biomass gets depressed from that red tide, the species responds with a big proliferation, and all of a sudden you have a big recruitment spike, a bunch of new babies. So it's pretty interesting that they're seeing that correlation. that I've been saying for a long time, because you notice it. I mean, you have a big bad hurricane year, you have some bad water, and all of a sudden a big spike in red grouper. And you can literally look at red grouper recruitment trends and then overlay massive hurricanes and red tide events, and you can see right before a big spike in numbers is one of those events. So it's pretty interesting that now it's proven, and that will help a lot, because in these stock assessments, if they're accounting for that, that means the species is more reproductive, and it should hopefully help, I think, raise the catch level.
Well, I think they need to put more effort towards the scientific side, like
Amen.
the biology. Like they need to put more effort into it. I've been
more effort, more money.
Yeah, they need money. They
Yeah.
need grant money and stuff like that. I've been pushing for them to get red grouper data for years, and that they get stock assessments, and their stock assessments, the data will come from fish houses commercially. They'll do dockside surveys and this and that and the other, but to get actual hard on the water data is what they need.
Yeah,
and
more cooperative research.
They put money into GAG, and they got a ton of data from GAG. We did it. They are doing SCAMP next. SCAMP is something that's coming up.
Yeah.
There's things in the works right now where they're trying to do,
Some
a lot more studies on SCAMP. But the red grouper's huge. I mean, that's like our bread and butter. That's like taking the yellowfin tuna from Venice, Louisiana.
Yeah.
Like that's what this whole area was built on, was grouper fishing. So those are very important to us as anglers, as recreational, charter, doesn't matter, like everybody. It's very important.
It's our base species.
So I've been pushing real hard. So yeah, I mean,
I think
we need
science, and then also on the flip side, enforcement, because management is if you have great science and a lot of it, you can have better informed management. But if you have really great science, really robust, perfect science, and then you have really good, well-informed management, it's useless without decent enforcement. So I think both ends of that spectrum, both science and enforcement, needs more funding. But that's a challenge in today's world with National Marine Fisheries budgets slipping and not really going up. And the Science Center, man, they are struggling.
They need help.
In our region, one thing that we talk a lot about at MREP is the fact that our region, our Science Center is responsible for 3 councils, whereas like the West Pacific Council, they have 2 science centers for 1 council.
Yeah.
And the distribution of science funding is not equal, and it's frustrating to say the least. But we got more on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Real Animals Radio will be right back.
The preceding program was paid for by Real Animals.
So the one thing that I learned at MREP that really opened my eyes is there's 8 federal management councils, right? You have the North Atlantic, you have New England Council, Mid-Atlantic Council, South Atlantic Council, Caribbean Council, Gulf Council. You have the West Pacific, Pacific, and North Pacific. Those are the 8 management councils that were set up by MSA to manage our nation's fisheries. And the North Pacific Council, which is like Alaska, they have like 1, 2, maybe even 3 science centers, and just like an incredible amount of funding. And up there, there's not really a recreational fishery. It's a commercial fishery
charter,
demanded by like 10 boats. Like these vessels bring in 1 million pounds a trip, So it's such a consolidated fishery. They don't really have much stakeholder conflict. And then you look at the Southeast, which has more recreational anglers than any of these other areas combined. And now we have more commercial anglers, like more commercial boats. Our commercial catch is peanuts compared to these other regions, but we have more commercial boats, and we have bigger stakeholder conflicts. And we have a bigger recreational complex, which demands more money, and it's a bigger economic impact. So I think there's a lot of reasons why the Southeast should get more funding.
On the side of caution, like too much. Like they don't have the data for red grouper, scamp. They don't have the data for anything. I know which studies are going on.
Yeah.
And the only reason I took on that 6-year GAG study, and we're still doing it with all the receivers and tagging and all this deep water and all the closed area, all the stuff that we did. The only reason I took it on is because I just didn't trust anybody else to do it. I didn't want to be in a situation where the lowest bidder gets it and the guy doesn't, know what he's doing out there, and then he's not going to catch them. Yeah. Where we fished during, because they've always touted it was 2% males in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
We fished open areas.
Yeah.
And we found that number to be over 7.
Yeah.
7% everywhere we fished.
Well, what I heard is it was 2 to 6%.
It was,
they were using.
It was, they probably got that 6% after we fished because it was always 2%. But where I took them, they didn't even have numbers. They had no data of gags past 400 foot. When I told them that we were catching fish out there, I told Ed, and then Ed's like, "No, there's no gags out there." I'm like, sending picture after picture after picture of big old rusties and stuff. And he's like, "No, they don't live out there." I'm like, "What, am I lying to you?" And he's like, so he would talk to them, and then they would call me, and they're like, "Well, there's no gags out there." I'm like, "There absolutely is." So they booked a trip, and we went out there. We did a research trip, got a thing for the boat, a license for the boat to go take them, and we ran out there, and I showed it to them, and that's when the study started. It was like a 6-year study, and it was we did all the deep water. That's all I did was 350 to 550. Yeah, and that was all we did. And then the other part of the study was in the steamboat lumps. I didn't want to do that one, so I did the deep water. Yeah. And yeah, it was over 7% in the deep water, and it was like 4%, 5% in the lumps. Yeah. That's been closed for 20 years. Yeah. But they didn't even have data on that deep water. So where would we have been if I didn't show them, like, here's where all the males live, like, this is where they live.
I think cooperative research is a big part of it.
But red grouper's the same thing. I've caught red grouper. We've all caught red grouper in 25, 30 foot of water. You catch a keeper-sized red grouper. I caught them in 430. I never saw any red grouper out there, but we caught 2 or 3 of them this year. Yeah. Not saying that they're moving or anything. I'm just saying that the data might be the area that you think it might be in might be a little bit more. Same thing that was with the gags. And same thing that I'm going to show them with the scamp. Because there is scamp out 450 500, foot. Yeah. And there is scamp in 40. Yeah. And there's scamp in the Keys. And there's scamp in the Panhandle. And there's scamp in Louisiana. And there's scamp in Texas. Yeah. There's scamp all over the place. But they're trying to mess with it and say it like it's not a target species. It's a bycatch species. Yeah. Nobody goes scamp fishing.
Well, the frustrating part about scamp is it's not overfished. It's not undergoing overfishing. They're concerned a little bit about recruitment. They're going to cut our catch level by 60%.
They don't need to be concerned about recruitment.
I have a big problem with that.
Scamp is a species that they don't understand.
Yeah.
Because
they don't have the science. There's
little scamp in 40 foot.
And there's little scamp in 500 foot.
In 80 foot. And you go to 240, they're giant. And then you go to 400, 500, and they all get small again. Not undersized, but there's a lot of them. But they're a lot smaller. I don't think I've ever caught one over 10 pounds out there in that deep water. Yeah, I've caught a million of them. Caught a million 6-pounders and 5-pounders. You know.
Some cookie cutters.
Yeah. I think they're a different species of scamp. I think there's 2. If you go catch a scamp in 450 or 500 foot, and then you go catch a scamp in 260, and you put those 2 scamp side by side, color aside, like their patterns, like the shading of their fins and stuff like that, their body shape, it's a little different. If you can see the 2 of them side by side. Like, the scamps you catch at like 240, black and just
crazy
cool looking. Yeah. And then the ones out there, they look like they're a little chubbier and they got a little more yellow to them and stuff like that. So
different environment for sure.
Yeah.
Bartow Ford Real Animals Radio Show. Your weekly voyage into Florida fishing. Presented by Hubbard's Marina. Hosted by Captain Mike Anderson and Captain Dylan Hubbard.
We're back. Bartow Ford Real Animals Radio, talking fishing this morning. We got Captain Steve Papen from Fintastic Fishing Charters in studio this morning, and hopefully we'll hear from you as well. If you have a fishing question, report, just want to call and say hello, 1-800-969-9352 is the phone number. Want to give a shout out to our friends over there at Ace Heating and Cooling. For over 20 years, Ace Heating and Cooling has been the name you can trust in the air conditioning business in Hillsborough County. Chris Myers and his guys service all brands. They do residential, commercial, and maintenance and full replacements. They send out technicians, not salespeople, because they try to build that long-lasting customer relationship that will hold up over time. Call 813-657-8818 or look them up online at brandonac.net to find out for yourself why Ace Heating and Cooling is the easy choice for the Real Animals fishing team. Speaking of good people, we've got Captain Jim Fogel on the line this morning with our safe boating tip of the week. How you doing, Captain Jim?
I'm well. I am well. How are you? You and Capt Steve there, you behaving yourselves?
Oh yeah, we're trying to do our best. We got Derek keeping us in line this morning, making us sound pretty.
Good. Yeah. I don't know if y'all already mentioned it, but there was a really good 6a-8a banquet last night.
Yeah, Maher Chevrolet.
Anybody talk about that? Yeah.
No one has.
Sorry, you guys. Yeah, it was really well done, well attended. Food was great as usual.
Awesome.
Really enjoyed it. Yeah, a lot of good stuff auctioned off and bought, and I think they probably did real well last night.
Good to hear.
It was probably more than they expected. Yeah. Okay, I'll get on here. This is the time of year where people start cranking up generators and they start cranking up heaters and all kind of stuff, and they start sitting there at the dock having a cold one or a warm one, and all of a sudden they start feeling bad. Carbon monoxide cannot be seen, smelled, or tasted. Now, it will get in. It doesn't have to come from your own vessel. It can come from a vessel a couple doors down.
Yep.
If you guys have cabins, you really need, in addition to smoke detector, of course, a carbon monoxide detector. And they make combinations. And you've got to keep up. You've got to service them. I don't know what the rule of thumb is, but you ought to make sure they work and at least replace the batteries, I'd say, once a year if they don't go off frequently. If they go off a lot, then you need to replace them right away. Even in your own boat, if you've got the cabin open and you're trolling slowly, you get that station wagon. Dylan, you may not remember what station wagons are, but anyway, back in the day, we had station wagons, and we had, you'd cruise around with the back gate open, and that carbon monoxide would come up underneath the thing, or the dust, and you know how dust accumulates on the back of your window anyway. That's the same sort of thing. Carbon monoxide will do that on your vessel if you're going slow and the wind's just right. So, you want to watch out for the symptoms: headaches, nausea, and fatigue, which are a lot of times mistaken for the flu or even a hangover or something. But if you've got several people,
it'd be hard to discern on a boat. Am I hungover?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. But if you've got several people that are feeling that way, you either got a bunch of partiers or, you possibly have got carbon monoxide. And you've got to get people fresh air. And if they are really feeling bad, you've got to get first aid. And I'm talking about emergency department first aid. That's the case for 911 or Mayday out there if you've got somebody that you feel like has got carbon monoxide, because that's not something you can treat yourself. You can't fix it yourself. You got to get them into some professional care.
Yes, sir.
So let's be careful out there when we're trolling and or sitting at the dock. I don't want anybody falling out from that, and it happens every year.
Amen.
So let's be careful with that. Thanks a lot for the time, guys. For the Coast Guard Auxiliary in St. Pete, Jim Fogel, be safe out there.
Thank you, Captain Jim, for the safe boating tip of the week. We appreciate you, brother.
Anyway.
See you, man. Always good to hear from Captain Jim.
Station wagons.
Yeah, you thought that was really funny, didn't you?
I did, man. It's kind of nice having somebody else call you young.
Whatever. Steve's always picking on me, guys. I guess I get out what I give. Right?
I mean, yeah, you do.
Yeah,
I mean,
I earned that.
Even the boys, Mike and John, they do it all the time. They just call me old. I'm the old guy now, and that's all they talk about. Both of them. They call me Dad. That's what they call me. It's unsettling.
The way you work, I wouldn't mess with you. I wouldn't call you old.
It's unsettling.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear them. They're actually listening right now. They're out pulling crab traps today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They call me Dad.
I wonder if Dad's doing a good job.
I don't know.
Turn on the radio.
See if the boys are catching Dad some crabs today, yeah.
It sounds like you need some floaters. You like crabs, so hopefully they bring some home for you.
Yeah, they do. They have extras, all the time. They get the floaters and
Don's Dock will have them later today. If all the stone crab has had you hungry, Don's Dock Seafood Market's got your back.
They'll deliver them. I think he just dropped some off yesterday morning.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of fresh crab.
He'll have some more. He'll have some more down there tomorrow morning. So.
Yeah. And speaking of John's Pass, I did want to bring up the jetty issue. We've talked about it past shows. So long story short, the North Jetty of John's Pass historically has had this beautiful sidewalk that many people, including myself, have grown up fishing, and many people go down there to visit, watch the sunset, blah, 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 blah. It's just a cool place to go. That sidewalk on that North Jetty was heavily trafficked. Unfortunately, it received some damage a year and a half ago in one of the storms, and then it received more damage in Helene and Milton. And unfortunately, the very bitter end of it, there was some concern over the safety, and the city had gotten sued already over a slip, trip, and fall, and the city had to pay out $50,000. So the city was concerned about the safety. At the end of the jetty, they tried to block it off. Well, people kept going out there even after it was blocked off, and they couldn't keep people off of it. So the city manager decided to go out there and just jackhammer the whole thing up.
Terrible.
Super frustrating. So you're worried about safety, concerned about safety, and you created a bigger safety concern, and you did not consult the public. You did not consult the city commission. It was just, I had a huge problem with that. Well, it was done, and there was nothing we could do about it, and it was really frustrating. Now you have a bunch of rubble and rebar on top of a rock jetty and a bigger safety issue. So the city totally closed the whole area. You couldn't even go out there, or you were under threat of trespass from the sheriff. So all of a sudden now you've closed a historic fishing site that has really great fishing, and had an even bigger problem with that. And luckily the fishing community came together. The mayor supported us. The city commission supported us. And Madeira Beach is now removing all that rubble and rebar. And the city manager is ordering the public works department to get out there and remove all that stuff. So the jetty will be restored to the way it was originally without the sidewalk. So there won't be a sidewalk on it, but you'll have a bunch of those big boulders back, and all that concrete from the sidewalk will be removed, and you'll be able to fish it again. So fishing access has been once again restored.
We talked about this a long time ago. You were saying something that there was a study done or something like that to see if the jetties were longer.
So there's
it would prevent some of our erosion. How
John's Pass is managed is it's a federal inlet. It's managed by Army Corps. The federal inlet is managed by Army Corps. It's a federally managed inlet, and they have to have a local sponsor. So the county is the local sponsor of that federal managed inlet. But that's like the middle of John's Pass. That's like between the fenders. That's what Army Corps manages. They don't necessarily care about what happens on the fringes. So they have this inlet management plan, and the inlet management plan has like 7 alternatives. And one of the alternatives in the inlet management plan is to make the North Jetty of John's Pass 400 yards longer.
400 yards?
400 yards, baby. Gosh.
We're just going to go out to the stick.
Sounds so beautiful when you say things like that. But long story short, if you make the North Jetty longer, what happens is you have a tidal ebb. And when that tidal jet leaves the jetty, it's like a barrel of a rifle, right? You shoot a pistol or you shoot a hunting rifle with a longer barrel. The longer the barrel, the straighter the trajectory, the longer the trajectory. So if you have a longer jetty, that outgoing tide is going to go further, straighter, and the channel will get deeper and stay straighter further. So it would save the inlet. we're in all these county meetings back in the day, 3-4 years ago, when we were going through the whole sand problem in Johns Pass. And the scientists said on the record, I'll never forget it, a longer jetty would save the inlet, but it wouldn't even be explored due to possible negative impacts to beaches to the south. So Sunset Beach, Paso Grill Beach, they have a lot of problems with sand erosion. And because if you make the north jetty of Johns Pass longer, it would accrete sand or grow the north side of the jetty. So Madeira Beach would just build sand like crazy. Madeira Beach would be super long. You'd have all this sand, and it would stop sand transport. The natural sand transport travels from the north and moves to the south, and that sand transport would be cut off because of that jetty. So potentially the beaches to the south would stop accreting any natural sand. So due to that potential negative impact, it wouldn't even be explored. Yeah, and
I think 400 yards is probably a little excessive.
I
think maybe like
I kept harping on it. I'm like, all right, this will save the jetty, or this will save the inlet. If we know it'll save the inlet, and it might possibly have negative impacts, but we know it's going to have one really positive one, let's explore that. I kept bringing that up, and I was told if I brought it up again, I wouldn't be allowed back in county meetings. So I was kind of quieted. So people bring up lengthening the jetty, and it would be cool. But one thing we have to remember is, at Blinds Pass, they had that little hook, and they made that hook longer. Took 25 years. 25 years of environmental studies to get that done.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was like adding 15 feet of rocks.
So Johns Pass might get longer, but we probably won't be here.
I'm 33 years old. It would take my lifetime to get that momentum going, and it would probably be middle of my son's lifetime before they actually complete the project.
It's just terrible.
Yeah, you think federal fisheries move slow. Wait till you start dealing with Army Corps. It's not pretty. We've got, I think, one of the boys, John from Madeira Beach, on the line on the other side. We also got Captain Jeff Page from Sarasota on the line, too. So some heavy hitters on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Real Animals Radio will be right back. John from Madeira Beach. It's got to be.
It could be. Wonder what
could have conjured him up.
Yeah, that might be. I know they're out there doing the crab thing right now. So we'll see. I don't know.
Well, sure. If they're bringing you crab, I want some too.
They do say young kids out there crabbing. They're gonna go back to the house with all their crab claws, and they're gonna cook them and drink beer and eat all the floaters.
Yeah,
that's what they do. That's what all crabbers do, isn't it?
Yep. It's a lot of hard work, man. Oh, yeah. People are waking up now. Got 3 on the line.
Nice.
Jeff Page, that's cool.
Yeah, I haven't talked to Mike, man. It's been a long time.
He thinks highly of you.
I like him. He's a great dude. We've only been fishing, but we probably only been fishing a couple times. But
yeah,
we did a couple real animals show. I actually took them out to the deep water one and caught some. We had a weird day because it was real nasty, and I wanted to move to another day. And he's like, "No, we got to go today." And I'm like, we had to take like 2 boats out there because one of them had to be the camera boat.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, you can't push these trips. Like, you got to go out there when the conditions are right to make it a great, a great trip. You can have a good trip.
Yeah. You
can have a great trip. You know, if I can dissect everything and see exactly what I need to see, you can have a great trip.
Yeah.
You know. And we ended up going anyway, and the weather was crap, and we were running away from water spouts and thunderstorms and just all this stuff, but. It was neat because we caught every different species out there. Like we had gag and we had scamp and we had yellow eye snappers and we had kitties and we had just all the
deep water accoutrement.
It was pretty neat.
That's cool.
But then we got our butts handed to us for the entire way home, running away from a giant monster that was like heading from west to east, and we're just like running as fast as we can away from it.
Trying to outrun it.
Yeah, it was terrible.
That's never fun.
Billy was on that trip too. That was back when Billy was fishing with them.
Yeah, they did more offshore stuff then.
Yeah, Yeah, Billy. I think he started with the inshore deal, and then he moved offshore.
Yep.
Now he's got his 31 contender.
He does duck hunting now too.
Yeah. I like Billy. He's a good dude. He's an old salty guy. That boy loves his dogs, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
His dogs are with him all the time.
Uh-huh.
Like they sit, like literally just sit on the leaning post. Like he's running offshore. It's like 3 foot and freezing cold, and there's like a dog just laid out on the leaning post. You know, like that's incredible.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's got some good puppies. Mm-hmm. And I guess
he pays a pretty penny for them too.
Does he?
Duck hunting dogs.
Yeah, imagine.
Well trained.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. I can't get my dogs to do anything. I can't get my dogs to do anything at all.
Yeah.
But like, you can take your dog, put it in a boat, and like shoot a shotgun within like 2 feet of the dog, and it doesn't even flinch. Shoot a bird out of the air.
Yeah.
The dog
Takes off.
jumps off the boat into the water that's freezing cold, and swims out there and grabs and brings it right back to you.
Yeah.
And then just sits back there and waits for his next. It's amazing.
It is.
It is amazing to see.
Cool. It's amazing what you can train dogs to do.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
Like those military dogs.
Yeah, the service dogs. I've had a couple of those on the boat.
Yeah.
I had a guy a few years back, and he had PTSD or something like that. So he had like a service dog, and the dog would like lay underneath the leaning post of the boat, and I'm like sitting there, and we're running or something like that, and he like hit a wave, and it kind of knocked me off my feet or something like that, and I like stepped on the dog's tail because it was underneath the seat, and that thing yelped so loud I thought they both blew up.
We're back. Bartow Ford Real Animals Fishing Show. Captain Dylan Hubbard here from Hubbard's Marina. We got Captain Steve Papen of Fintastic Fishing Charters this morning. We've got some great callers on the line we're going to get to, but we want to give a shout out to our friends at Relentless Perpetual Edge Knives, the world's first self-sharpening knife that sharpens as it cuts. Ultra hard carbide, never rust titanium blade with a true grit glass reinforced ABS handle on a knife that is perfectly balanced. And it comes in 5 great models to choose from. Take the work out of filleting a pile of fish today and get a Relentless knife. Go to relentlessknivesusa.com to find out for yourself why this is the knife all the pros are talking about. We've got John from Madeira Beach on the line this morning. How you doing, John?
Oh, not too bad. How you doing, Dylan?
Doing good, my friend. Doing good. It sounds like you guys are out there crabbing, huh?
Yeah, we're doing good. We got about 1 claw so far.
1 claw. Hitting it out of the park, huh? Oh, man.
Paying the bills. 1 time.
Little chilly out there today?
Yeah, it's rather cold.
I gotcha. Well, hopefully you guys get some more stone crabs. Have you been seeing any triple tail on the traps?
No, not really. A couple shorts, but it's been pretty lackluster.
Man, I've been hearing that with the triple tail. I was hoping to hear a good report on the triple tail. I know you guys, wasn't there a little triple tail impromptu tournament down there, I heard?
I heard of one. I didn't know anything about it.
I gotcha. Yeah. Well, what do you guys got planned today? Just pulling some traps and then heading back in?
Yeah, I'm just going to pull one of my clotheslines and probably 50 or 60 traps.
Yeah.
The rest on Monday, I think. It's blowing a little harder than I anticipated.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a little windy out there.
You need a bigger boat.
You need a bigger. I heard he's got a nice one. That Suzuki wrap boat's pretty nice.
He thinks that boat's his, but it's not his. It's my boat. I don't know. My son thinks that's his. Mike thinks it's his. Like, apparently it's not mine. I just bought it.
Well, good luck out there.
Crab hauler on it.
Yeah.
No, you will not.
I think it'll fit nicely, Mikey.
No.
I vote yes.
It would.
Yeah, you can get to that deep water line a lot easier.
Yeah, definitely saved my back so I don't get old so quickly like Stevie.
There you go. Well, good luck out there, Mikey. You guys stay safe, stay warm, and hopefully you get a better turnaround on the next line.
No, I just pulled one trap that was out of line. I'm getting ready to turn on the first one now.
All right, man. Well, good luck.
Don't fall in out there. Bring Dad some claws home.
See you guys. Awesome to hear. We got Captain Jeff Page on the line too, but I don't want to go to Captain Jeff Page on a short segment here. We are kind of up against a break, but we do hopefully want to hear from you as well. 1-800-969-9352. We've got Chuck from Seffner on the line as well. And definitely plenty of great show left. Want to give a shout out to our friends at Ace Heating and Cooling. Remember, for over 20 years, Ace Heating and Cooling has been the name you can trust in the heating and air conditioning business in Hillsborough County. Chris Myers and his guys, they service all brands. They do residential and commercial repairs, maintenance, and full replacements. Plus, they send out technicians, not salespeople, because they build that long-lasting customer relationship that will hold up over time. Call 813-657-8818 or look them up online at brandonac.net to find out for yourself why Ace Heating and Cooling is the easy choice for the Real Animals Fishing team. Also, we're going to be talking a little bit more about all the stuff going on the other side and all the fishing that we got coming up. Plus, we got some fishery stuff. We had just had an FWC meeting as well, so lots more going on. Don't go anywhere. We got Captain Jeff Page from Sarasota after this. We also got Chuck from Seffner, and hopefully we'll hear from you as well. Remember, 1-800-969-9352, Real Animals Radio. We'll be right back.
John must have made him do that.
Yeah.
Because I was like expecting to listen to John.
Yeah, I thought it was John. Yeah.
They're good kids, man. I like them guys.
Yeah.
They're hard working. Yeah, Mikey's,
Mikey's a good dude.
He is. He just, he doesn't want to do it himself. Like, he doesn't want all the responsibility and all the bills and all the pressure and this and that and the other, but he wants to get out from underneath my wing and just spread his own and do his own thing. So I'm happy for him. He's a good dude.
Great dude.
Got a good family.
Yep. Morning, Van Hubbard. Morning, Brian. Beverly, Tim.
Two airboats collided?
Two airboats collided. That's scary stuff, man.
You see how those guys run down there, man. They got like that little channel. It's like this,
Yeah,
as wide as the boat, and they're just flying through there.
it's crazy. Yeah, my dad has the airboat up in the property in Floral City, and we're skirting around out there on the islands, and you're coming through this corner, and it's blind. You don't know who's coming.
Yeah.
It's a little freaky, for sure.
Yeah, because if somebody's going the other way doing the exact same thing you're doing, and they're just coming the other direction.
And it's not like you can hear them.
No.
Airboats are super loud.
Yeah.
But yours is also super loud.
You just go piling into them like that's scary.
They are very maneuverable. That's hilarious. It does look like they're duck hunting. They grow up so fast.
It seems like only yesterday I was changing their diapers.
That's funny.
Yeah, man, I'm stoked for this. It's like it's just crazy. It's like every year, that's why I bought a second boat, because like it's great for when we got like busy time and we can run a lot of trips. It's also good for this time of the year when I can just pile like, hey, we got one day, this week, or 2 days this week, and you just pile everything in those 2 days. So, but it sure is difficult going from 0 to 60 back to 0.
And when it's rough, then you can use one of your boats for crabbing.
We're not doing that, Dylan. Listen, I tell you what, you keep up on this, and I'm going to start talking seriously to your crew about getting Starlink and freaking pool tables and all kinds of stuff on the back of the Friendly. So you better watch what you do. Be like, man, you guys should really have like a big old grill on the back of this boat.
Have you ever been up to
light fires and stuff on the back of the boat?
Have you ever been up to Orange Beach?
I have not.
So in Orange Beach, all those charter boats there in the port, they all have big green eggs on the back deck of the boat.
Really?
Yeah. Like built, glassed in.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And they're all just cooking while they're out there?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Like it's a part of the trip. Make some cheeseburgers, hamburgers, or grill up some fish. Pretty interesting.
I think with you guys, why don't you do like ceviche stuff out there? I think that would go.
It's such a gray area, man.
You can have 3/4 of a pound of fish per person.
You can, but if you're filleting fish on the boat, you gotta keep the skins and the carcass. It depends on what law enforcement officers you run into.
Why would you have to keep this carcass in the skin if you're...
Technically, it's part of your bag limit if you're
It
filleting.
is.
Yeah.
It is, but...
And you have to be able to prove what you're eating. It's such a gray area. There's so many different things, and I personally just want to close any possibility of potential scrutiny, you know?
Yeah. My summertime got, like, a lot of my regulars that go with us during the summer.
I'm not saying I'm opposed. Like,
They bring the tub, like, they'll bring the little Tupperware thing full of cilantro and all that stuff.
Because, like, on the party boat, in order to be able to give enough to everybody on the boat, you have to have a lot of fish, right?
Yeah.
Like, if it's a charter and they want to make some ceviche,
but you could do
that's
stuff
a little
with,
different.
like, porgies or grunts or beeliners or, and, you know, things that, you know, don't necessarily... You don't have to do, you know, red snapper or your gag or, you know what I mean? Like something like that. You could do something with you know, you could do Almaco jacks or you could do any of that stuff. You know? I don't know. I think it'd be kind of cool, but I got a lot of my customers that bring the mix out. And the first stop of the day is always like pick up, you know,
pick a fish.
2 or 3 lanes or a couple mangoes, and then we go to red snapper or grouper fishing after that. But the first stop of the day is always, let's get ceviche. And then they'll fillet them up. The boys will fillet them up on the back, put them in there, dice them up, put them in there, and then we just leave them there cook for a few hours. And then by lunchtime, you know, everybody's just taking a scoop and fishing. And
I love me some ceviche.
I do too. I've had it a lot of different ways.
You know who's pretty good at that is Boyle. Jason Boyle. He's really good.
Is he?
Having the prep stuff, yeah. Some of the best ceviche I've had on the boat he made. Yeah.
I've had it really, really good. I've had it really, really bad. I've had it really, really spicy.
I like spicy.
We had some guys on the boat, and they used like smoked ghost pepper, and they smoke it, and they like it was real dry, and then they pulverize it into like a
powder.
And then they put it in a shaker. So they were dipping their thing in there, and they'd shake it on there, and they were eating it. And these guys, well, we're running like 25, 26 knots, and Brian is standing behind one of the guys as he's shaking it, and Brian's cleaning his sunglasses.
Oh.
Right in his eyes, dude. They looked like they were bleeding.
Oh my God.
For like a day. It's horrible.
Mike Anderson and Dylan Hubbard.
We are back. Bartow Ford, Real Animals, talking fishing this morning. Captain Dylan Hubbard from Hubbard's Marina. We got Captain Steve Papen from Fintastic Fishing Charters in studio. Hopefully we'll hear from you as well. Want to make sure we give a shout out to our friends over there at Innovative Pools and Spa. They bring over 35 years of experience to building pools in the Tampa Bay area, and they continue the legacy of their father's company, which was recognized as a top pool builder in the Tampa Bay area for 35 years. Plus, they continue to raise the bar in pool construction, design, and features. They have an unparalleled passion for the industry along with a deep-rooted commitment to the community. Call them today at 727-788-1650 or visit them online at innovativepoolsandspa.net for an estimate. Plus, they have a fall special running right now. You can get a pool for less than $50K. Really great deals. So definitely give them a shout. They also do repairs. They can get your pool cleaned up if you had some damage from the storm, if you have any pump damage, whatever. So they can get you right if you need it. Innovative Pools and Spa. Now's the time to get that done before spring and summer settle in. It'll come up fast, so you want to make sure you get that all settled. Also, we've got Captain Jeff Page on the line from Sarasota. How you doing, Captain Jeff?
Good morning. Sitting in line at Chick-fil-A, get me a little breakfast sandwich, and I'm headed up to the Boat and Motor Superstore special they do every year. I'm going up there to represent Power Pole.
Nice.
Going to have a tent up there with the new pumps and some stuff to show folks, along with stickers and some giveaways. But this guy up there at the Boat Motor Superstore, he does a really good job. It's up there in Palm Harbor on US 19, and he does a really good job. He's got, stuff for the kids, Christmas, bounce house, stuff like that, and then all kinds of food trucks. And the cool thing is, I don't think he charges any money for any of it. I think it's all open to the public, and it's really an awesome event. I've done it a couple years now, and it's a nice, cool day, good day to do that. Sounded like it was a little windy out there with your crabbers.
Yeah, it did. I did hear a rumor. Isn't that place got firearms now, too?
I'm not sure. I'll let you know when I get up there for sure, but it's definitely it's worth.
That's a superstore.
You guys that are in the north part of the region, it's definitely something to do today, and I promise you won't be let down. They have all kinds of, all the vendors that we've come to know and like, they're all going to be there, and I guess they have boats. And I think they have a really nice boat that has been, you could buy raffle tickets, kind of like what CCA does. It's a boat, and I know their Facebook page. You can see the boat, and I think the tickets are on sale right up until the drawing. I might be mistaken on that, but I don't think so. I think you can buy a raffle ticket right up until he draws for it, and it's a pretty nice little outfit. I think it's like a fancy John boat with power poles and trolling motors and all that kind of stuff. So a lot going on up there. The fishing down here, Dylan, has been really good, and we do have some triple tails. I got one of my biggest ones ever last week, 14.5 pounds.
Whoa, that is a horse. Did you get him really, really shallow or out on the beach?
30 feet on a crab trap line that I've been running the past 2 weeks, the same. I don't know whose it is. It's blue and white. It's got a lot of barnacles on it. I don't know if you believe in that or not, but I don't like those brand new shiny ropes and traps. I like some barnacles. I like some slime on the ropes.
Oh, yeah.
And this blue and white cork, he's got all that and some.
They're 8 up, huh?
That's a giant.
Yeah, that's a big triple tail.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
We ran by, and it was down deep, and I thought, man, maybe that's a clump of weeds, maybe it's not. I'm gonna spin around and look, and I got around, and I like to let the boat wake settle down before I even ease up to it, and I eased up, and he floated up, and I went, uh-oh, and I didn't even have any shiners. All I had was shrimp. I tail hooked a big old shrimp, and I said to my client, I said, all right, now just throw it past him and then just reel it and let it drop. Don't worry about the crab trap and rope. Everybody's all worried about the crab trap and rope, but you know what? If you get worried about that, you're not going to make a good cast. So put it past him, reeled, let it drop, and immediately he followed it down. I went, he's going to eat it, and the rest is history. We put him in the boat, and man gave me a piece of it, and he took the other half, and man, it is so good. You know what it looks like, Dylan? It looks like scamp.
Yeah, it's really white meat. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's
it
awesome.
was really good. It was an exciting, and then we went inside and caught some really nice speckled trout on the Mirror Lure Little Johns, and it's just been a good early winter so far, and I think this low tide week we've got coming up with this full moon, I think it's going to be a really good week. It doesn't look like we have another front till the end of the week, but I don't know about you, but I like the cold fronts every week. I don't like it to get summer-like and then back to winter and some. I like this the steady, not 2010 freeze, but I just like a steady cold front every week. Keep that water down in the 60s. Let those fish stay where they are, and it seems like everything stays better. And the hog fishing, all my guys, Will Osborne and Billy Ahlstrom and those young bucks that go a little harder than I do, they've been really catching some nice hogfish. I'm sure you guys have too up your way.
Yeah, we've definitely been seeing the hogfish for sure, and it's been a good time to get out there. I mean, redfish in our area seem pretty strong. You're seeing the same thing?
Yeah, but here's the thing. A lot of 22 to 25-inch fish.
Yep,
a
lot of cookie cutters.
Slot and those overfish, I think they're still out in the Gulf because the nearshore reef guys, the 1 and 3 mile reefs, those guys are catching lots of redfish, and they're better fish. They're right up there on that 27, 28, even 30-inch line.
That's awesome. Good to hear they're still out there doing their thing. Hopefully we'll have even more coming.
Hey, I have a question for you because you know all the offshore game. That hogfish, because I hear people call them hog snapper. They're not a snapper, are they?
No, they're in the wrasse family, so not a snapper at all.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
But you hear people call them hog snappers, but if I'm not mistaken, I heard you and Mike discussing this once, and you said that it's in the wrasse family, and I said, and I tried to remember that name, rasp, and I had forgotten it, but I'm gonna keep that in my memory bank next time a guy tells me it's a hog snapper.
Yeah, they're more of a parrotfish than any kind of snapper.
Exactly. A wrasse is similar to a parrotfish. So, yeah, they're closer to a parrotfish than a snapper for sure. And they behave differently, too. So that's why you have to target them a little differently as well.
Yeah, most of the guys that I know that are successful with them, they use those, and there's one company that's really benefited from it, that hog ball rig, which is a hook with a split ring with a colored weight on it. And the guys I know like the pink one.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has their own favorite, and that became popular, and it got knocked off 80 million ways to Sunday. In our shop, we have like 4 different kinds: the banana jig, the ball jig, the naked ball jig. There's a bunch of different options out there, but essentially, to me, it's 3 different setups. You got a knocker rig, which is traditional. I would assume most utilize the knocker rig, at least in the charter application. Most are using the knocker rig. Also, the jig head is also the kind of the old school OG method that kind of started the whole thing, with just simply a big jig head. And then the third way is using one of those ball jigs, or one of the iterations of the many ball jigs that are on the market. Those are kind of the 3 methods that I would go to. What about you, Steve?
They all relatively do the exact same thing. I mean, you're pinning the bait to the weight anyhow you do it. Doesn't matter if you're using any one of those 3 rigs. And the reason that you pin the bait to the weight is because when you lift it up and then you drop it down, it creates that sand puff, which is what they're looking for. They're looking for a shrimp or a crab digging down into the sand. So your sinker is creating that look. And then when they come over and smell it, there's your shrimp or your crab or whatever, and they're eating it. So it looks completely natural to them, but all 3 rigs do the same exact thing.
Yeah, I like the knocker rig just for the flexibility of you're able to flip it out there further, and you get that weight separation from the bait as it sinks, and you're fishing a little bit more up in the water column. That shrimp drops a little slower, and then once you do hit the bottom, you can kind of slowly work it back to you, creating more puffs of sand.
Well, no one like seeing them from diving, you know, in the past, like that's not the brightest animal out there. I mean, it's not a mangrove snapper or a yellowtail or
they're not.
I mean, they give
not uncurious.
They give the divers the broadside shot, and for us, I mean, you know, for hogfish, it's more about where you anchor, you know, where you stop your boat or put your blender down or whatever you're doing. But it's more about where than it is, you know, the spot itself.
Where that power pull move locks you in, right, Cam Jeff?
Oh, yeah. And you know what? I was at the factory yesterday. They are boxing up and sending out the new 96 and 110s, those new long shafts for those offshore guys. And they're really, really quiet, smooth, dependable. And, you know, what we've done is we developed a titanium shaft that nobody else has. And with the offshore rigs, there was so much flex, even in the titanium, they've inserted a carbon fiber insert. And it took John and his engineers a little bit longer to get it the way he wanted it. But now it is it's bulletproof, and guys are really loving it. Cody Shivas up there up near where I'm going today.
Yes, sir.
He's been testing one for a couple years, and he was crucial in that figuring out that flex game because, when they're 96, almost 100 inches, 96 to 110 inches long, there's a lot of flex going on with those big boats and them swells.
Mm-hmm.
And they got it right. And you pair that up with a good lithium battery, 36, you're going to have no problem all day.
That's awesome, man. Well, we appreciate you, Captain Jeff. Have fun at the Boat Motor Superstore today, and I hope you have a great one, my friend.
All right, you do, and you guys have a blessed Christmas coming up, and hope that Santa brings you all the fishing tackle that you need.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you, Captain Jeff. Thanks for calling in. Always a pleasure to hear from Captain Jeff Page. We got Chuck from Seffner. What's going on, Chuck? What you got for us?
Good morning, fellas. How are y'all doing today?
We are doing well, my friend. What you got
Listen,
going?
I wanted to ask, I know you know about it a little bit more than everybody else, but wouldn't that jetty out there at Johns Pass prevent Johns Pass from being dredged back out all the time?
Yes.
And then also the cost effectiveness. I mean, as long as I've been following this thing, we've always had to renourish the beaches until another storm or a hurricane come in. So what is the cost efficiency compared to, the practicality of what this jetty is actually going to do?
So you are trying to introduce logic in an illogical situation, and that's what and I'm not digging at you. I'm just being facetious.
Yeah.
Essentially,
no, I know.
Essentially, Madeira Beach has beach groins, and those beach groins are essentially small jetties that run perpendicular down the beach. And Madeira Beach is one of the only beaches with groins. Madeira Beach has never received beach renourishment. Out of all the other beaches, Madeira Beach is the only one who's never received beach renourishment because of the groins.
They're rebuilding those now, right?
Yes, they got money to rebuild, or not to rebuild them, but to make them longer and stronger because they save the beach and it doesn't require beach renourishment. So the beach groins work, and we've proved it. Unfortunately, other beaches continue to get renourishment. They haven't explored beach groins. And to answer your question, lengthening the jetty would, again, enshrine and secure Madeira Beach even further and save the inlet and prevent any sand intrusion to the inlet. So there are definitely, to me, it's $1.55 million was what the state spent to dredge out the sand accretion in Johns Pass, or the sand buildup in Johns Pass. They still haven't got it done because it took 2 years for the city manager to even apply to Army Corps for the permit, which is a whole different annoyance. But once it gets done, the scientists said in the meeting it'll take between 5, 10, or 15 years for it to be exactly the same. So literally, we're going to pile up $1.55 million taxpayer dollars and burn it, knowing that in 5, 10, or 15 years it'll be the exact same way again. But
when was the last time
we could spend a little bit of money, probably a lot more money, maybe $5, $10, $6 million, or someone like $10 million, let's say, build a longer jetty. You could put an RFP on that jetty, and some private business could come out there and secure that RFP and pay, and you could charge people. Like, if they charge people $10 and you had a 400-yard longer jetty, I mean, I'd pay $10 to walk to the end of the jetty with my kids. I mean, and you put a fishing license on it, like a pier,
like Reddington.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But build it all out of rocks instead of.
If they would limit it, though, that's the other thing, is once they built the jetty, are they going to put a fence on the end of it and say nobody can go out there?
Yeah. There's always those questions, but we'd fight for it. And right now we have a good history of the city working with us and the city mayor's working with us to keep fishing access open. So it's pretty cool. Hopefully we can keep that trend going.
These your all-day trips that you guys are running out there. How's the 10-hour trips running, and what about the availability? Have the boats been having some good space or what?
Yeah, the 10 hours wide open, got plenty of availability. It's a slower time of year, not a ton of people around, and we're catching those hogfish. They're a little finicky. Some days are better than others, but we're definitely seeing some nice hogfish and having a good time doing it.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot for the info.
Appreciate you, Chuck. Thanks for calling in. Hopefully you have enjoyed the show so far. We still got one more segment to go, so don't go anywhere. Real Animals Radio will be right back.
Contests on the
this station, go to WFLAnews.com/rules.
Dear fancy gift wrappers, you continue to amaze us. No present is too large or too complicated for you. Your creativity with elaborate calligraphy is best. Your inventiveness literally leaves us amazed. This holiday season, we have a gift wrapping work cut out for you. But you can leave the big red bows to us. Get offers on select vehicles at the Lexus December sales event. Now from January 2nd. Experience amazing at the Lexus dealer.
If you want your windows, they're in weeks. Pick up the phone and just search Reese.
Protect your home now with factory direct custom-made impact windows from Reese Windows and Doors. For over 50 years, Reese has been one of the leading window and door companies in the state of Florida. At Reese, most impact windows, they're installed in just 6 weeks, and they also come with a double lifetime warranty. For your free initial consultation, check out ReeseWindows.com. That's REECE Windows.com. ReeseWindows.com.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
One more fix. Comfort restored.
Thanks, 1 Hour Man.
And pronto. Visit FloridaOneHour.com. Clearwater is still shining. The sun is out. The weather feels just right. And we're ready to welcome you back to the vibrant Gulf Coast. On Sunday, December 29th at the Reliant Plus Bowl Beach Day at Hilton Clearwater Beach. Join Michigan and Alabama for a fun-filled day of live music, skydivers, and festive competitions. Save 30% or more on select hotels and attractions at StillShiningDeals.com. Brought to you by Visit St. Pete Clearwater, home to America's favorite beaches.
Captain Mike Anderson here for Gator Jim's Fishing Tackle. You know, I've been talking about Gator Jim's now for many, many years, and there's just no way to explain the great savings, the great deals, all the great gear in Gator Jim's Fishing Tackle shop. It's absolutely stuffed to the gills with incredible deals. Jim is a liquidator. He buys deals. It's what he does. All of the manufacturers know that at the end of the year, all the stuff they have left, Jim will take it for pennies on the dollar. He takes those savings, turns around, and puts together deals that you will not believe. If you're looking to load up on the best in fishing tackle, including all of the Real Animals gear, Ingle coolers, Maui Jim sunglasses, Bull Bay rods, Penn reels, spider wire fishing line, mirror lures, all the stuff, Strike King lures, everything that I use in my daily arsenal you can get at Gator Jim's Fishing Tackle. 3301 Pinellas Point Drive. Get by Gator Jim's today and tell them Captain Mike sent you.
Never sounded so good. Had enough of this country? Ever dreamt about starting your own?
I planted the flag. This is mine. I own this.
It's surprisingly easy.
55 gallons of water, 500 pounds of concrete.
Or maybe not.
No country willingly gives up their territory.
Oh my God.
What is that?
Bullets.
Listen to Escape from Zakistan on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search Escape from ZAQ-istan to start listening.
We are back. Captain Dylan Hubbard from Hubbard's Marina for the Bartow for Real Animals radio show. We've got Captain Steve Papen on the line or not on the line, but in studio, in the flesh, Captain Steve Papen from Fintastic Fishing Charters. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the show so far. I want to give a shout out to our friends at Power Pucks, the world's first powered supply trolling motor quick release bracket. They eliminate the need for an exterior power plug, which can snag lines, corrode easily, or just be an eyesore cluttering up your deck. If you got the power pole move and you want to be able to clean up the deck and the look, go to Power Pucks, PWRPUX.com, and find out for yourself why this is what so many of the pros are making the switch over to. Power Pucks. Definitely a cool feature. When are you getting a power pole, my man?
So no trolling motors for me yet.
I thought you had one. The new boat doesn't have one?
No. We had just put one on one of my private boats.
Yeah.
He argued with me. I'm like, all he does is troll. Like he's out there for wahoos and tunas, and that's all he cares about. He doesn't want to bottom fish very rarely.
So why would you get a trolling motor?
I argued with him for about 6 months, and then I just gave up. And I was like, listen, man, if you want a trolling motor, it's your boat, it's your money. You can get a trolling motor put on there. So Newman put one on there over at Extreme Marine. He put one on, and I haven't even put the boat in the water yet. It's been out since right. We pulled it out for the first storm.
Yeah,
and we haven't even put it back because the dock where we keep it, all the electrical got fried on the dock. So it's amazing. All the pillars, that they have for the individual slips. You'd be amazed. You can't find those right now.
Yeah, it's a little chilling.
The company that makes them is like in overdrive. And,
yeah, for sure.
And you can't find them because every dock in Florida needed one. So,
well, you'll get a chance to try it soon for sure. How would someone book a trip with you if they were looking to go out with the illustrious, legendary?
Here we go,
Captain Steve Papen.
Quit pouring it on.
So,
if you'd like,
or if they want to go with the young gun, Captain Mike Hollinsworth.
I mean, you could. He's okay.
There you go.
But so we're on all the platforms, Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff. Fantastic Fishing Charters.
And TikTok.
Yeah, Dylan, keep letting me know about that.
You have a great TikTok. You should be proud of that.
I mean, whatever. It is what it is. I'm not
humble.
I'm not a big social media guy. I just try and...
You do a good job at it for someone who's not a big social media guy.
But phone number 727-642-3411. Fantasticfishingcharters.com.
And it fishes out of the best seafood market in the area. Don's Dock Seafood Market.
Yeah, man. I got history, man. It's like somebody asked me the other day, why you been here so long? It just feels like home. It's my house.
There it is.
I love it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming in studio this morning. And thank you, Derek, for working so hard to make us sound good this morning and letting us in the front door. That was nice. Also, thank you for being a part of the Real Animal Show this morning, listening in. Join us tomorrow between 7 to 9 a.m. on 620 WDAE for Real Animals Sunday. Tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. for our Real Animals and Hubbard's Marina live stream show, Off the Hook with Captain Hubbard. 7:30 p.m. tomorrow night. Yeah, tomorrow night. And we're going to have a good time, give away $1,500 in free trips. So join us tomorrow night, tomorrow morning. And don't forget, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy. Y'all have a good day, y'all.
This program was paid for by Fishing.